So how do you know when to fight? Because you're not fighting everything. You are fighting Stickergate. That's a big one, right? And you fight the one like we fought COVID, but you're not fighting when the government um, decreases the speed limit from 30 to 25 in an area. You're not going to
Sometimes I
fight
am.
that.
I would
Depends on
say
how
I'm not
late you
fighting
are.
income tax.
Right. Like there's some things you don't fight.
Yeah,
You just
because,
kind of accept.
because it's pretty simple. I mean, you're looking at the consequences. What am I fighting for? What are the consequences? Would I be right constitutionally if I fought on income tax? Yes.
Yeah.
Would I win? No.
No.
What are the consequences? 20 years in prison.
Right.
Like, okay, is that worth it?
Right.
I'm going to fight over how much money. Money can't have that kind of dominance over me. I can't care about it that much.
Right.
That I'm willing to take time away from my family and community and like put myself in a cell.
Right.
And go fail as a father and a husband because I'm fighting over money.
Now, at the same time, with something like Stickergate, you've spent a tremendous amount of time, money, energy on it, and it looks like, correct me if I'm wrong, it's not going to. You're not going to. We're
still in the fight because there's 3 of us. But Rory's criminal appeal, just like this kid with the 2 genders T-shirt, May 15th, the SCOTUS had a conference and then did not take the case up. And so they didn't decide against us. They just didn't take the case. And so it's like, we're at the end of the line.
Right.
As far as Rory's criminal appeal goes, we're still not at the end of the line as far as litigation and other things.
The rest of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not something where like the risk to reward ratio there it's a sense of madness that you would go fight like the tremendous amount of time, energy, etc. to get what exactly?
I want this town specifically, this liberal town, to think before they fire. I want them to hesitate. I want them to know that we are not going to just roll over and be bullied all the time. So if I fight for my lunch money, like if they're trying to take my lunch money and I fight for my lunch money, I fight for the right to criticize their tyranny. They're not going to try to steal my lunch money as much. So even if I end up with 2 black eyes and they have a broken nose and 1 black eye, and maybe I got the worst of it,
right?
Like I'm going to fight because they have to be deterred. I want to live here. So this isn't the IRS. This isn't the federal government. This is my town. And if this town reserves the right to criminally prosecute anybody who criticizes them or makes fun of them, like, and we roll over, like that's just a horrible place to live.
Yeah.
So I'm fighting for our own freedom here. But that brawl is one where I might take the bigger beating at different phases, and I won't hesitate to do it again.
But the point is, you stood up.
Yeah. So they lost on the Psalm sings. My son played chicken with a cop on a sidewalk during COVID first. When he was standing next to his cousin, they were chatting. A cop came and said that they were staying too close together, and she was going to arrest them if they didn't separate. And my son basically explained his constitutional position and said, "We'll still be here." And she said, "I'm going to drive around the block. If you're still standing this close together, I'm going to arrest you or cite you," or whatever she said. But I think it was arrest. And he's like, "I'll be right here."
Yeah.
And then she did.
If anything, I'll be standing closer.
Yeah. And she did not come back around. Like, okay, there we go. Flinch.
Yep.
But then after the Psalm sing arrests, when protesting the Psalm sing arrests, Rory ends up in cuffs on the sidewalk and illegal arrest, everything else that went on. Ultimately, I think a lot of the reason why the case got handled the way it got handled was to protect the Moscow murders prosecution, because the cops who did a terrible job in our case and were really, really sloppy in our case were also involved over there. And it turns out did a really bad job over there too. And, so I've had a lot of journalists come, a number of journalists who've been interested, and one very aggressively so, about the inner workings of our case and which officers perjured themselves, which officers lied when.
Right.
And that's a big deal. They also presented video evidence in the Moscow murders case without audio, the same thing they did with us. There's all this stuff that was like, oh, it turns out it's the same people. It's just ours was this petty little tyranny nonsense. And then this is an incident of real darkness that they had to deal with.
Right.
So when we were fighting on Stickergate, that was a big part of the resistance, was the murder prosecution had to be protected. The original judge had to be protected. The cops had to be protected. And state of Idaho judges really kind of circled the wagons a little bit to try to protect that case. And even so, it's still like in jeopardy down in Boise. It still comes up like, oh, somebody leaked Dateline. Somebody was being sloppy. But honestly, the judge even tried to gag me on which of the officers had a pre-existing Brady violation. And like, we can't have this getting out. And this, because it was such a bad time.
Right.
And it was a bad time to be fighting them about stickers when they had this other really big gnarly thing going. But there was a big victory on the Psalm Sings, and Rory's protest was a protest of the Psalm Sing arrests. Those,
Right.
you know, they got slapped on that. We fought on that.
Right.
The Department of Justice is popping the city of Troy right now for something similar. And that's actually not the city of Troy really at all. That's Moscow, like Moscow liberalism creeping out there.
Enforcing it because we care.
Yeah, exactly. So as far as when and how to fight, whenever it seems worth it and whenever you're able.